Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to Conversations with Love. I am your host, Rhonda Love, and welcome to my podcast. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about. So I need you to call a friend and tell them to pull up, tune in, and let's get this conversation started. Hey, 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 welcome to Conversations with Love. I am your host, Rhonda Love. And again, welcome to another and new episode with Convo. How about that? And today, I have a very dear friend who is with me, Miss Kristen Lawson. And we're going to have an interesting conversation, you all. We're going to talk about something that most of us are curious about and sometimes afraid to ask. And that is about our friends who are of mixed race, those folks who are biracial, okay? So that being said, I do want to just give you a little bit of background, and then I'm going to let her take the mic over, okay? But Kristen, she is a commissioner for the Department of Professional Licensing here in Kentucky, and she has two beautiful kids. And again, she's a very dear friend of mine. And not too long ago, we had a conversation, and I said, hey, would you be interested in having a conversation with me on my podcast? And she said, yes. And let me tell you all, I am super, super excited because this was something that was on my mind. And again, it's a topic that folks oftentimes can be very curious about. Mm-hmm. And so we're getting ready to talk a little deep, okay? Yes. A little deep.
Yes.
And so I'm excited. But that being said, can you go ahead, my dear friend Kristen, and just share with us a little bit about your background? Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to get specific in terms of asking you, how do you identify?
Okay. Some of my background, I'm from Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I am an attorney. So being an attorney, I thought one way I wanted to start this conversation is to do my caveats and waivers.
Oh, Lord. Yes, I hear you. That's the attorney for real in you, right?
Yes. I just want to make it clear when we're speaking about mixed race.
Yes.
When you're starting just with the term biracial or mixed race, that can be anything. We're a very diverse group, and it can come in any manner of combinations.
That's true.
So when I'm speaking today, I'm speaking from my experience, which is somebody who is mixed race in America who is Black and white.
Perfect.
And I say that because I have mixed family members of all kinds of different mixtures. I have cousins who are Panamanian and white. I have one of my cousins, she's married to a Mexican man. Her children are Black and Mexican.
Yes.
My son's girlfriend is Filipino and white. So, and all those experiences are very different from being Black and white in America, which is definitely its own special kind of thing. So
yes, and you know what? I'm going to say this. I'm glad you put some clarification to that, and because it's funny. I watched a TED Talk a couple of days ago, and that's one of the things that the young lady said that could be so various. You know, it could be so open in terms of mixed race. You know, because we have a dear friend who is Asian.
Yes.
Okay, and Black.
Right.
His mother was Asian. His dad was Black.
Yes.
So you're correct. And I guess I will say this. I think the curiosity even comes more when it's Black and white.
Right. Because
because of how we were, you know.
That's the ultimate conflict here in America. That's the central conflict that we're all dealing with. So then, you know, and we get caught up in it.
that is so true. That is so true. Okay, but thank you for clarifying that.
I wanted to clarify that because one of the themes that you're going to hear me say is it's important to stay in your lane, and I'm going to stay in mine when I request others to stay in theirs.
Okay, and I'm going to do the straight okay. Okay?
Yes. Yeah, because one of the conversations I sometimes hear is, you know, mixed people should just be their own group. And I'm like, how would we be our own group when we're so different? Like, the experiences that I have are so different from like my son's girlfriend who's Filipino and white. Like she's, her cultural experiences are completely different from mine, being raised by an Asian mother than me being raised with a white mother and a
Mm-hmm.
black father. So that's why I'm like, I'm going to stay in my lane and talk about what it means to be a person who's black and white here in America too, because that's a thing too as well.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I think what's so funny is um, when you think about relationships,
Mm-hmm.
right? A black man and a white woman, or a white woman and a black man, whichever,
Mm-hmm.
however it's kind of divvied up. It wasn't that long ago
Mm-hmm.
that you couldn't even
Yep.
be in that type of relationship
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
in America.
Yeah, and I think too that I will say, I'm turning 50 in about
Mm-hmm.
a week and a half.
Girl, she's still a young thing. Let me tell you, she's still young, y'all. Welcome to the club, sister.
Yes, yes. But I'm part of what some people, the Gen
Oh.
X groups, called the Loving Generation. So,
Mm.
Loving versus
Mm-hmm.
Virginia happened in 1968,
Mm-hmm.
which made it legal all across the country for um, interracial couples to get married. My
Yes.
parents got married in 1975. So, that was what, 5 plus, I'm not good at math, like 6, 7 years afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm part of that first generation of mixed kids where all across the country, not only was it was legal and you're purposely and intentionally being raised in a mixed race family where there was
Mm-hmm.
some of that before,
Right.
but not like
Right.
there is now. And I
Absolutely.
think too that my group has a different perspective than like some of the younger people.
Mm.
And
That's true. You're right.
yes.
Because probably back in that time period, and I'm not going to assume, but the acceptance and all this other stuff was a little different than it is
Mm-hmm.
now,
Yes.
right?
I think the acceptance was different.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I think, because I am an introspective person and I watch and see things, and one of the things that I think that I'm going to say that some people may not like, I think you'll see that my generation
Mm-hmm.
typically is much more comfortable aligning with their blackness, where the younger
Mm.
generation may be more so in the middle. The reason for that is historically because in this country, they had the one drop rule, and
Yes.
because of the history of slavery and all of that, black people have been raising mixed race kids for 400 something years,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
white folks weren't.
You know what? That's a very good point.
And so
That's a very
there's a
good point.
learning curve for white people who are now having these mixed kids come in their families, and some of them are doing really good with it, and some of them aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's sparking a lot of the conversations I think we're seeing online, and there's a lot of craziness online when it comes to this conversation.
Yes, and we talked about that. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to definitely circle into that, but I do want to ask you this
Mm-hmm.
because I remember you saying for yourself with your family,
Mm-hmm.
it's very different maybe from some other families because
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a mixed relationship, sometimes the other family may not
Right.
accept the other family,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they'll disown, and it could possibly be on both sides. So we'll
Yeah.
be fair.
Yeah.
Now, but what we hear most oftentimes is that it may be maybe on the white side of the family. But
Yeah.
again, I'm not going to say that because it really can vary.
It can vary. Yeah.
But that being said, for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you had a different.
Okay. It's complicated.
Okay, that's okay.
So the history of my family, my mom is white and
Mm-hmm.
my dad is black. Um, I grew up with both sides of my family for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
When my mom and dad got together, it wasn't just that clean that, the white family and black family came together and everything was blissful and great and wonderful.
Got
No, my grandfather was not happy about my mother bringing my dad home.
it. Gotcha.
And there was huge conflict and some traumatic things that happened because of that
Mm-hmm.
ultimately led to my mother leaving her home so that she could go be with my dad.
Okay.
And what was strange about it, though, is even though my grandfather essentially cut off his relationship with my mom and didn't have a relationship with her or with
Mm-hmm.
me or with my brother, he did not prevent or stand in the way of any of the other family members from continuing to have a relationship with my mom.
Ah.
And so we were always around them, but we had a really big family. So it was weird
Got
because
it.
we would literally like go to like family reunions with that side of the family, and he would be there and we would be there and everybody would be having a good time. And I just understood that I didn't speak to my grandfather, he didn't speak to us. But I had a relationship with my grandmother. I had a relationship with all my aunts and uncles and all my cousins. And and sometimes I think about whether or not that is an okay situation for a parent to put themselves into. And I think part of the reason why it was okay was simply because the family was so big that it didn't even, and all the old men always just went off and did old man things, and all the kids went off and did, so it didn't even really, bother me or my brother because we were having fun with our cousins.
Right, right.
And then I think ultimately my grandfather realized he was wrong, but you know how older men are. Sometimes he wasn't going to actually say it, but he did show it by showing up. His first time he came to our house was when I graduated high school. So he came to our house and participated in my graduation party.
Okay, and you know what? Because that's literally, I was
Yeah.
writing the question. Did your grandfather ever become
Oh, yeah.
engaging or accepting?
Yes. Yeah. And then my grandmother passed shortly after that. My grandmother was always there. She actually helped my mom name me. And then I eventually got married. I had my daughter. One of my favorite pictures I have is my grandfather holding Georgia, and he loved her. He thought she was just a doll.
God, I love it. I
Yeah,
love
and
it. Well,
then
grandkids, they say, will definitely change your perspective.
Yeah. But this is also, I can give a perspective on this too, when people talk about race in this country and they talk about skin color, skin color, skin color. People don't like you because your skin color. You're sitting right here with me. I'm not that dark. I have cousins. I have an uncle who's married to a woman from Panama, and my cousins are mixed, my first cousins, and they are darker than me. And they were not subjected to that. They were accepted as his you know what I mean? So the ideal that racism is about skin color is a part of it, but it's also about ethnic and cultural identity, because we were black. It didn't matter that I don't have that much melanin. I was black, my dad is black, my brother is black. That's the problem.
Okay.
Because my cousins, I mean, he knows them. They're a lot, they're very obviously Hispanic.
Oh, in terms of the way they look?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the way they look, yes, very much so.
That's funny, because I'm going to kind of go on that thought, and let's just talk about the look, okay? Because I think sometimes as Black folk, when we see people who, and just bear with me, because and I will say this, audience, this is going to be a learning lesson, not only for myself, because there may be something that I may say wrong, Kristen, and you may
That's
say,
all right.
okay, let me help you, sis. Let me correct you, okay? But that being said, like there were times, or there have been times I've seen, I'll use a prime example, a young lady that works with me. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know she was Black.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until one of the ladies there said, because she could tell I had this look, and she goes, "Oh, you need to talk to such and such." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Why she wanted me to talk?" She's like, "Yeah, you really need to connect with her." And she goes, "She's a soror." She's not she was a Delta.
Yeah.
We gonna forgive her that she was a Delta. Sorry about y'all. Oops, sorry. Anyway, I know I'm gonna get somebody to say something on that. But anywho, okay, I love my Delta girls. You good. But she was a Delta. And when she said that, and don't get me wrong, because we can have, let's just say it, whites that will join our sororities, okay? But I couldn't tell. And when she said that, I was like, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh yeah." And she said, she goes, she's biracial, but she's a soror. She's a Delta. And I said,
Yeah.
okay. And then once I got to talking to her,
then it was like obvious.
then I could just, just in the conversation, what she was saying. And I was like, oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yes.
So I think
that part, it's very hard because a lot of the conversations that are happening around
Mm-hmm.
mixed race identity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is where I'm going to do my stay in your lane part.
Okay. Okay. Because I want to ask you something when you finish, but go ahead.
I'm going to take it back a little bit.
Okay.
A lot of the conversation about mixed race identity is happening by non-mixed race people. And I in my like grumpy old lady part that I'm starting to get to, I'm like, y'all need to stop. Because you don't understand it. You know,
Right.
when you have monoracial people speaking on biracial identity, they're looking at it through the lens of monoracial identity, and
Mm-hmm.
they are missing the fullness of how we perceive ourselves and how we understand ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you'll hear things like, well, when I was growing up, I
Mm-hmm.
heard all the time, well, you're black if your dad is black. And I'm like, but, you know, a white lady gave birth to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
now I'm hearing, well, you're black if your mom is black. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, but
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad. And I
Mm-hmm.
look like my dad. I look like my grandma, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So
Mm-hmm.
what are you talking about? Um, I think what I want people to understand about mixed race identity is that it's twofold for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's, you know, everybody, especially living in America, you got
Mm-hmm.
to have some common sense
Mm-hmm.
and have the reality of what you look like on the outside,
Mm-hmm.
because you it literally can be life or death around here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you look a certain way, like if you have a mixed race child and they look very black and you're not teaching them to be aware that people may be racist towards them, police may not treat them correctly, that then you're sending them out unprepared and potentially putting them in dangerous situations.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also the internal identity and how you feel about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and that can vary depending on how you're raised, what your parents teach you, who you're around. That's going to vary for mixed people. And what I would love to say to most mixed, I think partially I got this a lot younger than other mixed people do because I was raised with both sides of my family, and I
Mm-hmm.
was hearing, you'll hear, if you're a mixed person and you listen to monoracial people speak about it, that identity, a lot of people like to say, well, mixed people are confused.
Mm-hmm.
They're confused. Well, if I listen to monoracial people, guess what? I would be confused because
Mm-hmm.
they're confused.
Mm-hmm. And you're exactly right. You're
Yes.
exactly right.
None
And
of it makes any sense. And it's
mm-hmm.
like, what I would say to mixed race kids is like, I got this a lot younger than most would, was that, oh, they're not talking about me.
Mm-hmm.
They are taking some issue that they're working through and pushing it off on me, because
Mm-hmm.
that's why the messaging didn't make any sense, because it's like, oh, well, you're this or you're that
Mm-hmm.
or you're, you know, blah 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 blah. Like now there's a lot of people saying, well, you are what your phenotype is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I look racially ambiguous, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times people speak to me in Spanish. And
Oh
so, does
yeah.
that now mean that I'm Latina when a white
Mm-hmm.
lady from Indiana gave birth to me?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I am what I am. I am the people who made me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's probably the one thing I'd want people to take from this, that mixed identity and biracial identity is twofold. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not just the two races, it's the, yes, I have the reality of what I look like and
Mm-hmm.
how that's going to impact how people treat me in the world. And then there's all the stuff that you're not going to know from meeting a person, you know, and just looking on the outside. How was I
Mm-hmm.
raised? What was I taught? And how do I feel about that?
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say to mixed kids is, you don't owe that to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that for yourself. You can feel however you want to feel about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the mixed kids, they're listening to people and people are saying stuff to them and they're getting their feelings hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's hard. It's very hard, but you have to get to a point that'd be like, they don't know what what somebody says about me isn't who I am, and it doesn't matter what they think, because they
Right.
can't control how I feel about me right here and right here, and I
Mm-hmm.
can live that no matter what anybody says.
Right, right. And you know, here's a thing that I was thinking as you were talking, especially, and I liked how you use the term monoracial,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for those of us who are monoracial, I think the thing is, especially in our generation,
Mm-hmm.
50 and up,
Mm-hmm.
is when we say, because I heard you say that some folks will say, well, you're black because your mom or your dad is black, right? But do you think that's partly because of what, quote unquote, our world or society has deemed?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you talked about that one, what is it?
The
One drop rule.
Yeah.
Right. That is part of it, that
Yeah.
people feel that way because they're like, girl, if you got, and I'm just saying, they'll go, girl, now, you know, if you got a black daddy or if you got a black mama, you're black.
Yeah.
Or let me put it this way. You're black in the eyes of what has been given as a definition from the world.
Past. And I think that is, and I think that was an important distinction for you to make for our generation. Looking back,
right,
we were very tied to this ideal of a very racist rule. The one drop rule was very racist, and it was a rule that white people applied to benefit them at the time that it benefited them, and they don't apply it anymore because it doesn't benefit them to do so anymore. And I can say this because he knows who one of my best friends is, a white lady. But when we talk about our ancestry, she's got black ancestry, she's got Puerto Rican ancestry in her past, but she is a white woman who is perceived as a white woman and operates in the world as a white woman. Not that she's passing, she's just a white woman because her lineage has gone to the point where she has, you know, whoever in her past decided to pass, they all became white and she's white.
Well, you know, that's
I say she's whitish, but she's a white lady.
Okay.
And she's married to a black man and has mixed kids.
Oh, wow.
So
I love it.
Let me add layers to it.
That adds a little bit of layers to it.
But I've never seen a white person be like, oh my God, she's not white. No, where they do it to me though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, that's funny because what you just said, I thought about, and I can't think of his name. He's the new Pope.
Oh yeah.
Remember? Because they said his family.
Yeah.
And but as he kind of, but now he's a white man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
And part of the thing about that too is white people are fine with that too because that benefits them. They're no longer, if it didn't benefit them to include her or to include him, they would not.
Gotcha.
So,
well, and explain, because I'm just curious, or maybe I'm losing something. But what's the benefit now?
Numbers. It's just a numbers game. I mean, before they did it because they wanted to enslave us, but they know that the numbers are changing and that they're on par to become the minority in this country.
Got it.
It's a numbers game.
Interesting. Interesting.
I'm saying the stuff out loud you're not supposed to say.
And but you know what? And see, I will say this. I think that is the beauty of how can I say? Of being in a biracial or mixed race, because you are on two sides of the world.
Yeah.
Right. You have an understanding, because we don't even have to take black or white. You could take someone who is Hispanic and black, or Hispanic and white. You know what I'm saying? And so you're going to have the Hispanic culture. You're going to understand your people from that perspective because you are surrounded by them. You've learned the language, whatever it is. And then you've got this other portion. Well, you know how they roll. So you have an advantage.
Yes.
And I think particularly if you are black, white, you got an advantage in this world, because now as you're sitting in a boardroom or in a room, you can understand why John is over here thinking the way John is thinking and why Sister Girl's like doing, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about that.
To some extent, because I know like a lot of people say white people don't have culture. Well, they do, and they have different regional cultures. And so I grew up with a certain kind of white people. And sometimes when I go into the corporate world, the white people there are a little different from, I call them my white people. And so sometimes I do struggle. Now, if I end up around white people whose background is more similar to my family, I'm immediately comfortable, and I know how to relate to those people a little bit more than I do. And my mother's family is very Catholic. They're German and Irish. And so there's a certain vibe that comes from that than the more waspy white people. So I struggle with sometimes like, what's going on?
Got it. Now that's interesting. You're right. Okay.
There's different. So sometimes it helps, but sometimes I'm like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that's funny that that it does work for
Mm-hmm.
is just a little funny tidbit is because I've heard like black people and I've seen black people online talk about the white person smile when they go,
Mm-hmm.
and they are thinking that it has something to do with race, and it has absolutely nothing to do with race
Mm-hmm.
because I use it because I know what it means, which it means I see there's a person and I need to acknowledge them, but I don't feel like talking.
Oh, is that what that means?
Yes, it's like, I see you're here, but I don't want to talk. That's what that means.
Okay, I love it. I love
Yes.
it because hey,
It's in that way, yes, we could be a translator.
yeah, because and it's funny because from a black culture, we
Mhm.
have some looks
Yes.
that we could look each other and we like I already know what she said. She like, what the heck?
Yes.
Who they think they is?
It's nonverbal
Right?
communication. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I love that. Okay, well let's we've gone a lot of different directions.
Yes,
I
we're all
love
over the
that.
place.
I love that. I love that. How did you handle, and this still kind of goes in line, but I'm just curious. This is a quick question, still reflecting on what we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But when someone has mistaken you in terms of your background, how did you handle that? Did you go, no, sis? Or how did you handle that?
I'm trying to think. I don't. It depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, I was more sensitive to it. I almost kind of wonder because it doesn't happen as much now, other than sometimes people speak in Spanish to me. And I almost
I
wonder
love
if
that
now
one.
I have more of a non approachable look than I did when I was younger, maybe because I've gotten more confident in who I am. When I was younger, I would probably be more offended. One of the incidents I can think about was high school.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they didn't let my parents or my mom fill out like my demographics. And then there was a point in high school when they started like a minority scholars group
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, and all my friends were invited to join the group
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't, and I was like, what's going on?
Got it.
And I went to the counselor and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, all my friends are, invited to be in this group and go do all these things. They were going on field trips, like college stuff. And I'm like, why didn't you invite me? And she pulled out my file and she's like, well, you're white. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And I was like, I'm mixed. I have a white mom and a black dad. And she said, well, you can't put both down. You have to choose.
Mm.
And I said, well, then put me down as black because I'm going with my friends.
I love it. Now you made me think of something else. Do you think that people, given in certain situations, that they would change?
Change what?
Like they would say, if someone says you gotta give me an identity, what is your identity? Do you think sometimes people say in certain situations that they're black and in other situations that they're white?
I can't speak for other mixed people.
That's true.
The conversation I see with most mixed people is we want to put down everything we are. And in fact, it's because of my generation, like railing against that you have to choose, that now on the census you can choose multiple. And a lot of the forms you can either choose multiple or you can put, because I don't like other. I'm like, why should I put other when what I am is on the form? Or like I think at work they have 2 or more races as an option, so I put that one at work.
Got it. And that's actually better.
That's better than other,
Yeah, absolutely.
because I'm not an other. I am, what I am. So might you do it? It depends. I'm not gonna, because sometimes catch me on the wrong day and I'm feeling petty.
I love that.
And I'm like, why are you asking me? I'm just going to circle everything
and let you figure it out.
Yes. Have I done that? Yes, I have. Have I sometimes just not filled it out because I was annoyed? Have I sometimes gotten an attitude about it? Just depends on the day. I can remember going to recently, because this is the one place, and I don't know why they do this, and they still do it. Whenever I go to get my mammogram every year, they ask the race, and they don't let you choose 2 or more. So I have changed it alternately, and I've complained to them multiple times.
put that on there to give the option.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and if we're doing a healthcare situation, I am Black and I am white. Like when I remember the first time I got pregnant and I told my OBGYN I'm both, because she was like, well, what are you? And blah, blah. And she's like, oh, well, then I need to test you for cystic fibrosis and sickle cell anemia. So, because those kind of things are important.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And so that's interesting that you say that. Now, I want to kind of go into when I'm going to go back a little bit as you were growing up in terms of what was the hardest part, if any,
Growing up?
as you had to navigate through this identity.
Well, I'll say again, I was very lucky because I grew up with both sides of my family, and my my parents. They're going to be here next weekend with us. They've been married for 50 years.
Oh, that's a blessing
Yeah.
for anybody.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
And they're Mary and Russell are Mary and Russell.
I love it. I love it.
And I'm a daddy's girl and a mommy's girl at the same time, 50 years old.
Oh, wow.
And
love that.
so probably the hardest part is just when you're younger, was just feeling different. And my mom was very aware of that. And I always say she as a parent, I probably did some similar things with my kids. Like she was trying to make me feel good about myself. And so I always knew who both sides of my family were. One of the things my parents did a great job with us is they never told us how to identify. They let us own our identity.
Got it.
But she would always go out of her way, like whenever there was another mixed person. That person's mixed too. That person's mixed too. And what she didn't know in my head that I was processing was that every person that she was pointing out that was mixed, I didn't look nothing like them people. So then I'm like, I'm different because I'm mixed. And I don't even look like the mixed people that she's pointing to. And so I was developing my own internal complex that where I was internally desperately seeking to find a mixed person that looked like me. And this ended up my best friend is mixed. I have a white mom, black dad. She has a black mom, and her biological father was white.
Okay.
But she was later adopted by her stepfather, who was black. She's the extrovert. I'm the introvert. She adopted me in 7th grade. But she adopted all the mixed people, and she knew who all the mixed kids were in school, and she was always friends with them. And then me and her became best friends. And so I think she kind of knew, and she told me one day, she's like, have you heard that song, Vision of Love? And I was like, yeah, Mariah Carey. And she's like, she's mixed. I was like, she is. And I ran home and sat in front of the TV on BT. And when I saw her, I was like, it was like a breath of fresh air. And, Jonathan's here, my fiance. He'll tell you, I love Mariah Carey.
Right.
I am not somebody who stands like stars, except for Mariah Carey, and I will fight you over her.
Well, and you know what? Mariah has become kind of a legend for some. I think it's what's my girl, Missy Copeland. I remember her making the comment that Mariah kind of carried her through some times.
Yes.
And that's interesting because I think here's the thing. As a monoracial person, right? That we all can have, and let me rephrase that. We all can have someone when it's that person that we can identify with, that you can look up to.
Yes.
And say, wow, if she can do it. For example, you have some black young lady kids, they look up to Serena.
Yes.
Or somebody, and they're like, wow, if she can play tennis. It's like that idolization of someone that that looks like you, but you also know that they're in a situation that's very similar and exactly like you.
And that's where, like I said, representation matters.
Absolutely.
It matters. And seeing her made me feel more confident in myself. So I would say as a younger person, that was the biggest thing. It's like, no, all kids, you don't want to be the weird one. You don't want to be the one that stands out. And so just trying to fit in, and that would be the biggest challenge, I think, as a younger person. Then I finally got to a point where I was like, I don't care what these folks think about me on that.
And you know what? I think I will say this. I think that's to the beauty of, and again, this is just a general statement. I think that's the beauty of once we get older, you get to that point of this is who I am, love me or leave me, baby.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that when we get to that point in our life, that's a good thing. And that's just going to be a universal thought or message.
And for anybody. Yeah.
Yes.
And then too,
Yes.
like having children, once I had children, it was like, you got to love yourself who you are because you're representing who they are to them. So that, that helped tremendously, especially when I had my son, because my daughter came out brown skin like her dad, and then my son was born, and I was like, oh, he's the same color as me. It's like, you know what? You better start really loving yourself the way you look, because he's gonna look at you as his example. Other than, like, I sometimes joke and say my kids think that they're darker than what they are. It's like they forget that they have my son is the same color as me, and I'm like, I think he thinks he's dark skinned sometimes.
I love it. I love it. So, I guess let me ask you this. In terms of like advice, because everybody is so different, and to your point, experiences are different. But if you had a young person right now that was sitting here in this chair and they're going through something because they're trying to figure it out, right? Because you're at this age, you're comfortable where you are.
Yeah.
But you may have someone who could be in their 20s or maybe in their 30s, and they are struggling.
Yes.
Because they're like, well, when I'm on this side, I feel this way, or people make me feel that way, or vice versa. What advice would you give them?
One, what I said before, which is nobody can control your identity except for you, and you don't have to prove that to people, because you're just going to be banging your head against the wall, because it's just a lot about it that people who are not mixed race don't understand. And there's even people in the mixed community that aren't going to understand because they have different experiences from you. I have had the luck of throughout my life being in different situations where I got to interact with different people and all of our experiences are just so vastly different for a variety of reasons. So one, nobody controls that but you. And then two, sometimes I sit in a place where a lot of times it doesn't matter where I go, I'm going to feel like an outsider. When I'm with white people, when I'm with black people, I'm going to feel like an outsider initially until, and I'm an introvert and I'm reticent. And so it takes a while for me to get comfortable around people. And then it takes people a while to get comfortable around me, Make your own community. Find your people and really nurture those relationships, because sometimes we just got to go out and work. I got to go to work. I got to go, to the grocery store. I got to do the things I got to do. And I'm not always going to find community in those places, but I can make and build my own family and my own community where I want to. And I think if you do that, then you can handle those other situations fine. Yeah,
Gotcha.
sometimes you're going to go there and you're going to feel like, oh, God, I'm the odd one out. It happens all the time. But if you have your people and you find your people, then you can go and, like I'm going to talk crazy with my friend tonight when we see each other, because she's one of my people, and she understands because she does the same thing. She works in healthcare. She walks in the room and she's like, she can see people looking at her like, oh, what's going on here?
Got it. Got it. Right. And I wrote down this because I was curious, and it's funny, you kind of answered it, but my question initially was going to be, what's the common thread amongst people who are mixed race or biracial? But you said it, the outsider.
Yeah.
You feel, and is that fair to say that most, because even though things are so different, and everyone can be so different, but that could, or is that the common?
I think it is
denominator.
I think there's a lot of misperception happening on both. Whatever situation you're in, there's a lot of misperception that, and it, anything can be kind of uncomfortable. So I think there's sometimes mixed kids. I'm very lucky, like I said. I was raised with both sides. So I kind of have a shorthand. And sometimes mixed kids are being born into families that don't take the time to make sure they know both sides, and they're missing shorthand, and they're desperately seeking that connection, but they don't have it, and they're making mistakes because they don't realize that they are. And then because they're making mistakes, they're feeling even more like an outsider. And what I would say is just be patient to them, because especially if you're trying to make, because it deals with like a lot of the black, white mixed kids who are raised in white families that want to make connection to their blackness, and they're being perceived with all this whiteness because that's what they were raised in. And so they're struggling there. And I'm like, but you also have to be understanding that black people in this country we've all dealt with a lot of trauma.
Yes.
And
yes,
so
yes.
black people are going to have guards up, and I'm going to have my guard up. So I know that. I know, like when I first started coming down here to Lexington, when I met Jonathan, and I started going in circles with him, I was like, the black people are going to have their guard up with me because they're not going to know who I am or, how I fit in. But I'm going to have my guard up because I don't know if they're going to like me. Or are they going to have a problem with me? So it's going to take a while. And you have to be patient with that. Let people see who you are.
Right.
And take your time and find your people. And some people are your people and some people aren't your people. And that's totally okay.
Yeah, you don't want to see my eyes cross on that one. All kinfolk ain't skinfolk. I think I got that finally right?
Yes.
But I'm serious.
Right.
So I'm going to say something. A confession.
Yes.
Because, and I may have said this to you once before, but I remember when Jonathan brought you into an organization we're a part of.
Yeah.
But of course, me, I'm happy-go-lucky with everybody, truth be told. But I will say my initial thought was, is Kristen biracial? I wasn't sure. I wasn't.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you when I knew. You want me to tell you when I knew?
Yes.
And I'm just being honest. Okay, we're having an honest conversation,
Yes.
right? One day you came. I think we had something when we were going on the boat in Somerset.
Oh yeah.
And you wore a shirt, and it said something about it wasn't Black Power, but it was something black. And I said, "Oh, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna hold it in." I wanted to say, "Okay," but I was just, I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Wait a minute." I said, okay.
Yes.
And then you start, and we were talking, as we often start, and you had been a couple of times around us. So I think at that point you were, getting comfortable with us.
To get more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we were having a conversation about something, and then I go, okay, got it.
Yes.
Got it. And I think that's just fair.
Yeah, I think it's fair for both sides. I mean, I specifically told Jonathan, I was like, at first, when I first started going to events with him, because my hair is naturally like wavy, but it's just a lot of work. So I would do the work so that people would perceive and tell that I was mixed more easily, because it made it easier for me. It made it easier for him. And I'm like, now they know me. I'm going to do what works for my hair, because I don't want to have to do. It's a lot of work.
Got it. Yes. Yes.
And
yes.
so I totally understand. Like like I said, I'm turning 50. I'm comfortable. I know people don't know what to think.
Absolutely.
I can't really speak on the whole situation, but I had a situation at work recently where race came up, and then and I said, I was like, I'm offended by this because I'm actually Black, and like they were like,
what? See, I think that would be the fun part, just a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, you could be sitting back pretending like, I'm not saying pretending. No, let me rephrase that. But you could just sit back and go, yeah, keep oh yeah,
Yes.
but what you didn't know
yes,
is,
I would say I do that now. When I was younger, so I think I had a very deep understanding of certain things that I couldn't articulate when I was younger. One of the things that I understood that I couldn't articulate was, I was so glad. I remember being a teenager and thinking, I am so glad I am Black. I'm so glad that my dad gave this gift to me. And I couldn't understand the fullness of that until I got older. I think I also understand to a depth that some Black people who are not as light as I am how racist white people can be. Like, they can be racist.
Mm-hmm.
I know how deep it goes.
Yeah, and that's the second side that you could see, right?
Yes.
That we may not naturally, the monoracial folks cannot naturally be in.
Because sometimes I want to say, y'all are being too nice. Like,
Mm.
sometimes I want to say you're seeing people be nice to you and you're taking it on surface, and I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Now I lost my train of thought.
That's okay, girl. See, you're getting 50. That's what you call a junior senior moment.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's what happens.
It's okay. It'll come back.
It'll come back somewhere in there.
It'll come back. But that being said, I just think that what this brief conversation, and it's so funny because my producer over here on the right of me, which is my son,
Yes.
Mr. Langston Love, he always hears me say that we need to come back and talk again, because I just think this is one of those conversations, and I would love to even have maybe another person that we know within our little group to come back.
Yeah, because she's going to have a different perspective.
She would
have grew up in a very different area than I did. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, we may have to revisit this conversation again. But before we go, there is one thing I wanted to ask, and I usually try to ask this sometimes. Sometimes I get through it, sometimes I don't. But if you could go back and talk to your younger self, because you kind of said, I'm at this point in my life that I'm good. But what would you tell yourself in terms of embracing who you are?
One, you're on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, don't dim your light.
Mm.
And you're right most of the time.
And I bet you that goes more to talking to Jonathan.
And I would say, trust your instinct. I think that's what I'm trying to tell my kids the most is trust your instincts. All the times I didn't listen to my instincts, I made a mistake. And when I do listen, I'm right. And that goes to a lot of different issues in life. Your instincts are right about people, situations. Trust your instincts and just hang in there, because it's going to get better.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much, sis, for the conversation. I've loved it. And I know there's so many other things that we probably could have dug even deeper, or other things that we could have gotten into. But this just gives the audience a little bit perspective, a little more. And I know for myself it has as well. And so just thank you.
No,
I'll
thank
say
you.
that.
Thank
Seriously.
you for allowing me to share it and I have an honest conversation where you're just genuinely curious. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I got to leave you my love note. And you actually just helped me with, I was going to say something else, but the love note for today is don't dim your light. Keep shining. That's my little add-on. How about that? That's my love note from Rhonda Love, and this is Conversations with Love. And until the next time, take care.